today for the first time ever and did a lot of this makeup look there. I did, in fact, let one of the gentlemen who hopped on my live, and it was a makeup tutorial, and it was a bunch of gentlemen that hopped on, including ones that didn't speak English. And he selected, I got two colors of this Colorstay semi-permanent brow ink, soft brown and warm brown, and he chose warm brown. And just look, I couldn't find the new Jason Wu Freckle product at Target. This has a foam tipped applicator, just like eyeliner. And what's great is that you can use it to make just little tiny freckles and then just little clumps of freckles, right? They're not evenly spaced. They're usually in little clumps. You don't want to have too many, maybe one or two on the eyelid. I've done this pastel eyeshadow look with my very favorite BH Cosmetics What Lost in Los Angeles palette. Maybe one or two on the upper lip. Not all small, not all big. Maybe one or two on the cheeks. But, you know, I think it's a semi-permanent brow product, but I feel like the color of it, depending on what you choose, nothing too dark because freckles aren't black unless they're keloids, just gives you that real skin look of freckles, right? A freckle, a mole, something that this matte full coverage foundation, is it full coverage or medium coverage? I got into this airbrush flawless filter, right? 45 bucks from our friend Charlotte Tilbury. I got two colors that are not really my color, right? These kind of like darker chocolatey colors. But then what I did was I went in with this Physicians Formula shade adjuster drops, right? I used the pale one to lighten that set of foundations up. There is a darker one to darken lighter ones up. So, you know, it was a warm foundation that I then took to this place, which, you know, on the skin it does look a little bit more orange than me. But then when you look at my neck and decolletage, it doesn't look crazy. I then went in with one of my, you know, kind of favorite experiments, this Color Perfect foundation stick from Black Radiant. Got that on this new to me Real Techniques medium shadow brush. It's just such a big brush. I used it for contour. Because of my lighting setup, I feel like my contour and highlight on this side of my face was more successful than that on this side of my face. It just seems like my contour got compromised by highlight and that my contour placement wasn't as good. You get what I'm saying. Eyeliner also. I have a curved eyeliner line here, and over here it's straight. And I think I prefer the curved one, but I was talking and I had my mirror. But, you know, I have to say I'm enchanted once again by this eyeshadow palette. If you can get your hands on it, I know that BH Cosmetics is under some kind of bankruptcy process. I don't think that means they're going out of business, but their brushes are A1. This palette I did not think would give me this kind of color payoff on my skin tone. It's pastels. It evokes that Natasha Denona expensive palette. And every time I use it, I'm surprised. You know, my impulse being my complexion is I always think my outer third has to go dark. But what I did was I went in with a green matte shade. Inner corner is a blue, and then my base transition shade was this enchanting bubblegum pink non-shimmer, right? You can kind of see that just at the outer perimeter of the shadow. And I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to perfect makeup application, right? I think that my eyeliner could be a little bit higher, a little bit more lifted. It doesn't look terrible, right? But just something that continues that lower lash line up toward the end of that brow. I put nothing in my brows. Now I'm looking at them and wondering why that is. But I did want to just show you that Freckle product. It's really cheap. It is very available, unlike the Jason Wu. You don't have to go to Sephora or get into anything crazy like Freck or any of these expensive products, and I feel like it does the job. One thing I was able to do with my makeup look today, you know, I've seen Anastasia of Anastasia Beverly Hills talk about how your face is thirds, right? Top third, middle third, bottom third. I feel like I have a very weak bottom third. I don't know if my forehead is that big, but it certainly isn't the same size as like the chin area. So I always do highlight my chin to make it more eye-catching, right? And I think it's interesting to get contour on and then just see how the muscles in your face work, right? And where you can refine with like weight loss or, you know, kind of changing your posture. But I do love two products for brows. One, the NYX Control Freak, and I also do love this e.l.f. Soap Brow. I cannot find my Brusha brush. Where have you gone, Brusha brush? Yeah, I see it. But this is my first time actually wearing one of the things I learned about during lockdown, which is Brandy Melville, right? This tiny half shirt that's too small. The controversy is the company only produces clothing in one size. One size fits not most, not all, just who they want it to fit. And it's a very cute top. I have to say it must have been the milkshake that brought all the boys to the yard, because there were people who couldn't even speak to me and they were very excited. Is this normal when you go live on TikTok for a bunch of dudes to drop by your live? Someone asked to date me who lives in downtown LA. I just wondered, like, why would you get on the live of a person that you don't know who's doing makeup, and this kind of makeup? Was it how enchanting this shirt looks? I mean, I certainly didn't have much makeup on when the live started, and I even also had people who I went to college with popping up on my live. And, you know, I looked at one of their profiles and they don't even have a TikTok, right? So I'm kind of brushing this product into my brows just to let it dry down and get that desired stiffness. And I feel like, unlike some other soap brow products, like this disappointing Revolution Makeup London product, I feel like the e.l.f. one actually holds your brows stiff. The trick is to not get it on your skin and mess up your base. And the trick is to kind of, you know, brush it in and be intentional about where you want your brows to land. I'm not someone who lacks brow or lip, but, you know, I think I've done some good work to, you know, enhance my face. I don't know. I don't know if I'm looking as cute to you as I do in this mirror. But, you know, I've lined my eyes with chocolate brown, which during the day looks much more subtle and pretty. It looks like makeup, but it doesn't look as harsh as black. I could, of course, take a smudger brush and smudge it around and make it look less linery, but I don't really see why I would even need to do that. I'm not playing a cop. I don't have to hide wearing makeup, right? Looking at my freckle placement, and it, you know, it looks like it could almost be real, right? Sort of painting over that. It's a matte set of foundations that I got hold of. Now, did I change the finish of this foundation by adding that shade correction set of drops to it? I don't know, but I did look in the mirror. I looked in different mirrors in different light, and it does give you a healthy but a matte finish. And I don't know that matte finish is my favorite, right? I went in with some of this Kat Von D True Portrait Liquid to Powder Foundation in the highlighting places on a very, very tiny brush, right? I've been fascinated with these detail size brushes for putting on the very thinnest line of highlighter and the very slimmest line of highlighting concealer under the eye, right? Just where you want it, not some big, stump of a makeup sponge, but to be precise and painterly about it, right? It's just like your diet. You don't want to just eat any and everything. You want to be intentional about what you're putting in and what you're doing with your body. It's just like your romantic life, right? We don't have time to date everybody who pops up on our live, especially if there have been questions in the past. There's a reason I'm not in touch with some of these people. It may not have been that bad, but it certainly wasn't enchanting. And how strange. If you're not even on TikTok like that, why would you show up on someone's makeup live? Wouldn't you just look at it and be like, I don't need to know anything about makeup? But again, maybe it's this tiny Brandy Melville too small shirt. You can tell it's too small by the way the buttons are just hanging on. The buttons are hanging on for dear life. Just this shirt strains both fabric and reason. It is cute though. It looks like pajamas to me. Either like pajamas or like, it's the 1970s and I should have my hair parted down the middle and maybe a headband or something. But lip wise, I asked one of the gentlemen who was on the live with me what he thought I should do, right? This is the eyeliner that I used. It was a very good surprise. This LA Girl Ultimate Eye Intense Stay Auto Liner. And it is a waxy crayon, but it glides on like a dream, right? Even at the lash line, doesn't crinkle your eye skin up. And it makes a decent inner corner flick without, so far having to sharpen it. Enough to be visible and tight line, but not something that's gonna like require a lot of skill, and you don't have to mess with it a lot just to get some definition on the eye. So unlike our Ben Nye brown eyeliner that it always, the packaging of the Ben Nye eyeliner is not the best because the cap squishes. You sharpen a point, it squishes down inside the cap. It is a nice chocolatey brown, but I feel like this product is a more reliable friend during the times where you just want to be quick and accurate about your makeup, right? I used this cold brew pencil from NYX to line the lips. I was explaining to one of the gentlemen on my TikTok live, I don't really have to overline. I tried it, I don't love it, and I don't need it. So, just to give some depth to the color, all right? You have to forgive me because all I eat these days are vegan dumplings from Target. I'm like, I had a hard-boiled egg. I was gonna eat some salad, but I was like, no, let me hurry up because of daylight and really get my social media done. But it's not like you need liner. In the old days, people wouldn't line. In the old days, people would say, oh, the liner helps your lipstick stay on. I don't think that's the issue. I just think it gives you, an enhanced lip shape, right? You can overline, but if you don't need to, just doing this. And then I went in with one of these Milani lip colors. I believe it was Secret. Yes, Secret. The color is paler than the packaging. That's what threw me off, right? So this cold brew NYX liner on, then you get your Milani Secret out and just stamp that inside the line, right? It has a powdery matte finish and you could let it stay that way, right? I was watching with interest the lip looks that they did on Niecy Nash on the Rookie spin-off episode. And it was like scene to scene. She had really arresting, very particular lip color looks. And I kind of want a lookbook. They were that good. It was like kind of like a sheer, almost lip colored, it looked like a gloss, but it looked kind of purple or blue. It wasn't exactly lip color. It just looked like a shimmery gloss without being too much. And then over this, right? You could leave it like this. I've heard it's modern to just leave your liner and your matte lip color, you know, maybe tap the borders so it's not such a stark line, right? You could leave it like that, but person that I am, I took the MAC lip glass and tapped that into just the center of the lips, right? Tap it in the center on the Cupid's bow, right? You're not wanting to erase what you've done. You're just wanting to add a little bit more juiciness and pout just to the center, right? You want the center of your face in general matte and leave some, you know, glow on the edges. But, you know, when you're speaking, when you're having dinner, right? Look at that exciting sunset of shadow colors on our lids, right? We could do a little bit more with blending, right? Experimenting with some of these new Real Techniques brushes that I picked up at Target. I don't know where I put the rest of the box. Oh, here it is. Real Techniques Everyday Eye Essentials. Everything from shading, essential crease, definer, smudge, fine liner, lash separator, medium shadow. This is that medium shadow brush, which it's so big. Is that for inner corner shimmer? Is that for laying down your transition color? I used it for contouring. I don't know. I don't know what y'all think, but just using the very point of this brush to make tiny little abrasive circles to just blend out that green. We don't want to take down the color. We just want it to look a little less crayon-y on the lid, right? Achieving what is his name? John McClane calls seamlessness, right? So that it appears that these colors and shadows have somehow emanated from your skin or the world and landed here together on your eyelid. But engaging technique and a lifted stroke, we're getting closer and closer to getting that liner precisely right so it doesn't interfere with our lid crease, but it has more of a lifted angle than coming out. And I've seen all that architecture about bring the line out and then build it and then make it come back in. And, you know, I don't want a thick old line out there. I almost don't want a line this long, and I end up making one when it could just be 1/4 of an inch long, and the eye would look enhanced without looking like a lot of makeup, right? I do see Alexa Demi and other people with a very long, dark line at the corner of the eye, and it looks made up, right? Do we want to look made up, or do we just want to look pretty, right? And this lip, once the warmth of your skin kind of marries all the products together, it just looks like your lips but better, right? I don't even know if this lighting is doing justice to what I see in my mirror. If I use the back camera on my phone, maybe it would look more like what it's supposed to look like. But in any case, my phone is a whole other struggle that's in process. Just looking at this eyeliner in the mirror and taking like a random brush, an angled shadow brush, and just looking at that inner corner flick and wanting it to just get sharpened up a little bit. We don't want to take it away. We just want to This one we're gonna stretch out a little bit. The other one we just wanted it to be a little less wide of a line. But I do like how the eyeliner color and the freckle color marry together. We did stroke some of this, again, products that I'm not sure are dark enough for me. And I'm about to put them outside for others to enjoy. This Benefit Georgia Peach shade, right? It's quite shimmery. It's quite crumbly, right? It looks like a highlighter. Is it highlighter or blush? Why is it peach? It's definitely not a bronzer. But just being bold enough to stroke it over the high point of the cheek, it seems to give us color payoff over this doctored foundation. Right, if we put a little bit above the arch of the brow, maybe a kiss down the bridge of the nose and the tip of the nose, maybe the Cupid's bow, maybe that chin we need to build up, right? It looks flattering, maybe between the brows. We've soaped our brows. We have blue, pink, and green shadow on. You know, we could add a lash. We could add mascara. We could have a shorter wing on the eye. I don't hate the wing. I just want to fix the angle. This is really just me being critical after the makeup is done, but I think it looks quite pretty. Looks quite pretty with this immoral top from this company that doesn't size for everyone. It seems to be suggesting that everyone should weigh 120 pounds, which I definitely do not, especially from the side. But yeah, my live on TikTok, I was just going to talk about the difference between doing union and non-union work in Hollywood and New York, wherever. And it's like, you know, if you're making a consistent set of social media posts, you're doing camera work for yourself, that's non-union. You do have the option to register the project, this series called Camera Ready, with SAG and fill out all sorts of paperwork, and there's parameters and present a budget and do all these things in order for it to be union. But, you know, for me, there is no compensation involved. I'm just kind of doing it to practice my makeup and practice my voice and hopefully have something of value to say to anyone who stumbles across my videos, including people from college and, shall we say, ex-colleagues and other people that I've fallen out of touch with. It just blows my mind that they're able to stumble upon not just my video, but a live in particular. It seems a little odd. These are just some tiny little rings that I got from my favorite little cheap jewelry shop called Target, right? Just a little dangle, just a little sparkle, right? My pink, I guess it was like either pink armor or one of those kinds of nail strengtheners has mostly worn off, but you still do get a little bit of shine on the nail without it having to be a whole nail color that would chip. And it kind of evokes a French manicure without being a French manicure. A little earring, a little contour, something that just refines the way that you look to others, right? I was looking with interest at people who were wearing contour, right, to see if they had a clean line and if that line of contour got a little bit more slender as it came to the center of the face. Just little things to make your makeup look more refined, right? Maybe not putting too much dark on the center of the nose, and if so, making sure those tones are balanced somewhere else. I've seen people draw a big dark line covering the whole middle of their nose, and then they put a light line in the middle. I think you just need to be a little bit more subtle and blended, because especially in daylight, especially people who contour with bronzer, and bronzer on paler skins can be very orange, on darker skins can look quite red, right? The thing about contour is that it tends to be more gray, brown, cool toned. Bronzers are more warm, orange, red, as if, you know, sun has either burned or tanned the skin. I think it can be it can be risky, especially in bright daylight. You can look a little painted, a little obvious. You want your makeup to be before and then an after that's just striking and pretty and perfected and lifted and colorful, and just, you know, some level, you want to develop some level of skill to say, wow, this is better than a plain old lip. This sculpted cheek is better than a plain old cheek. Nothing was wrong with the old cheek, but this new cheek is, it's like wearing a good teeny tiny shirt with little flowers on it. It's just cute. Everyone wants to be cute, you know? Man, woman, boy, girl. Everyone enjoys being cute. You know, MAC lip gloss is a nice neutral gloss. I also have this Kush lip glaze from Milk Makeup. It doesn't seem like a glossy gloss. It just seems more of like a lip balm. It's a little green in color. I guess that's the Kush part of it. But yeah, union, non-union, it's fine if it's your work and you own it, but I think that you get into a little bit of a dilemma when you're doing non-union work for other people. Look at Jeff Wittick working for Dave Dobrik. It was all fun and games. It was helping everyone build their own followings, their own channels and all of that. But then when things go left, is it an employer-employee situation? Is it friends? Can you really be friends when one person owns and profits from the work without there being a contract or a clear delineation of, you know, what occurs in the middle of a mishap, like whatever happened in Utah with the excavator? You know, I've done work with that group and, you know, it was just easy in, easy out. But when things go left, what is going to save the worker is some record that the worker is at work, right? Not just friends hanging out on vacation. You know, if there was a forensic accountant that broke down labor contributions, labor costs, and profits, where the cars came from, who actually paid for them, it would just be an interesting deep dive. I think, you know, everyone is an interesting, lovely person, but, you know, I think Hollywood is going to always teach you that business is about money. You know, a lot of people, producers especially, have the attitude, you know, 12 for me, 1 for you, half of 1 for you, 13 for them. And that's fine if you're learning, if you're finding opportunity, if you feel appreciated, protected, and loved. But the reason there is a SAG and an AFTRA and then they merged is to protect the actor from, you know, like look at what happened to Judy Garland on the set of Wizard of Oz. Like, endless long hours. Same thing with the cast of Gone with the Wind, right? Endless long hours and reshoots, and, you know, then people don't want to feed you and it's a waste of time to let you sleep, and on and on and on. So, you know, in modern times we have like turnarounds and, you know, what they have to pay you after 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. After 16 hours, you start earning your day's salary every hour. And if that's worth it for the producer to keep paying it, that's what you're going to earn. And that's great if it's necessary. You know, what happens in situations that go left or are abusive or exploitative is that, you know, all of the labor and cost falls on the worker and then other people profit. And then there's sometimes a reason to go to court, like Jeff Wittick is, I believe. I mean, we're not really hearing anything about that situation. The drama channels are quiet about it, but I think that's good because it means that it's gotten serious and hopefully it's being figured out, you know, so that everyone can move forward. In any case, you know, it's great to work non-union. Music videos and a lot of video game voiceover as well as motion capture work is non-union. Some commercials have been non-union the last several years, but as you can imagine, in a single category, if you do a, what is it called? Shingles, which is a kind of infection that people get on their skin. If you do that commercial, non-union, you might make 4 figures all in. But if you do it union, you could make you know, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 upwards of that kind of money over the course of the next year or two versus four figures? Or would you rather have, you know, 5, 6 figures? This is just ballpark numbers, but that's the difference between doing union and non-union work. And, you know, it's better for producers to do non-union work. It's not better for performers and on-camera people because, you know, this is your life. This is your image. You can't do one commercial in that category for non-union and turn around and do another. You're burned in that category. You can't have, you know, Flow from Progressive working for more than one insurance company. You can't have the woman who is the spokesperson for Popeyes then working for a different, what do you call it? A different fried chicken shop. You know, there's just sort of rules, and it makes sense given how the business works and how identified particular celebrities are with particular products, right? Casamigos rum with George Clooney. He can't then start promoting Bacardi because he's identified with his own proprietary brand. The same brush with the same very powerful, the darkest shade I could find of stick foundation, right? There was a risk that it was going to be red in tone, but it wasn't. And it gave me the most beautiful, credible looking shadow, canceling out that, what did I eat? Bread pudding and vanilla ice cream from Mario's Caterers, which are some of my favorite caterers. Just using this brush to press that contour line, reinforce it on the nose, build that button nose, right? Again, the right side was a little bit less successful than the left, but you know, I'll know next time that this is a great product to contour with. And I'll know next time that maybe I don't necessarily want the matte Charlotte Tilbury foundation, even if it were my color. If this has been tinkered with to make it closer to my color and I see the finish, I don't hate it. This is great for newscasting or something where I want a very heavy matte foundation. And this Kat Von D foundation as highlighter it's okay. I just really was trying to experiment and get these things in my face because I'm like, well, what's all the hype about? What's everyone carrying on about? But yeah, union, non-union. You want to move through different work experiences, and I met a lot of interesting people doing non-union work, especially YouTube non-union work, a lot of which was uncompensated, but working on music videos, working on, you know, people's stage plays, things that don't have anything to do with pension and health contributions through SAG-AFTRA. It's the question of, it's like being a kind of like hobbyist on your social media, on your YouTube or your Instagram. The difference comes when you're asked to monetize it and treat it like work and be serious about it, keep showing up to do it, you know, add lighting that without that lighting, it would look a little bit less good. It would have less production value. You know, if you don't take care about your wardrobe and your makeup and parting your hair down the middle so that you look like Martha Washington, or I guess the woman that was Abraham Lincoln's wife. I don't know. I don't find this the most flattering hairdo on myself, but I guess it's better than the bun right on top of my head. I'm making an effort for you, the people who are suffering through watching my videos, but I'm not mad at this makeup look. It really does tell you, you know, how you can enhance your look, what happens when you get, you know, foundation products right under the eye that aren't the most moisturizing, you know, what finish of freckles, what stage at which you should apply your freckles, and do they look kind of random and realistic? And I think the answer is yes. It's great, you know, and whether that blush highlighter that you've been sitting on the fence about should stay in your kit, right? Sometimes there are products that really aren't doing it for us, and, you know, experiment once, twice, 3 times, and you figure out, you know, whether you actually want them to stay involved in your life. I was able to get hold of this fragrance-free replenishing body lotion with coconut, argan, kukui nut oils, um, as well as hyaluronic acid, niacinamide, and sodium PCA for overall skin health. It's a brand called Saltair, and you know, it's really enchanting, and it comes in this nice heavy packaging, and you can buy refills for it without having to toss and, you know, kind of replace the original bottle. It's a nice heavy substantial bottle, and the moisturization, again, in the desert, you're a real expert when it comes to what's gonna moisturize your skin, help it stay not chapped out in the elements. And I really think that this is a really great, very emollient, humectant, delightful product. It makes me curious about the rest of the line, but I believe the woman who created this may have been involved in television in the UK. Saltair. I'll do some research and put it in my notes for this live. What else can I tell you about? We talked about the Real Techniques brushes and, you know, my jewelry from Target. But yeah, I keep finding this Lost in Los Angeles palette to be just a treasure. It doesn't look like what it's gonna do on your face. If you're my complexion, probably even paler, it is sophisticated, and that's not always the case with pastels. It doesn't look like baby powder or children's makeup, which actually often has colors like this in it. You know, you don't want to look goofy. You don't want to look like those early 2000s like pop star photos where it's like one shade of matte blue shadow all the way up to the brow. You want to be a little more sophisticated about it. One element that really makes this eyeshadow pop, I've been trying different eyeshadow primers. This is a long-lasting eyeshadow base from Maybelline Master Prime, and it's got quite a bit of shimmer in it. So that has given me a very highlight under eye as well as inner corner without it having to be the blue of the eyeshadow. So this is a keeper. I have another color of it that is matte and kind of a little bit, it looks a little bit darker than my skin tone, but I'll try this guy next. You know, again, trying to kind of experiment, try things out, not dump too much money into it, but just see what matte looks like, what pastel looks like, what stick foundations for women of color delivers in terms of contour, because in as much as women of color foundations can be too deep, then the deepest shades of the Makeup Revolution London, these kinds of warm chestnut dupes for the Charlotte Tilbury contouring wands can be a little bit light. They can end up looking like kind of like liquid bronzer on the skin. These are dark concealers, but I feel like the tones can be maybe not as good as this, because this looks like shadow. This can look like, you know, kind of like liquid bronzer. I'm not sure. I'm still experimenting with these. I do like the packaging, and I do want to get hold of the similar product that's blush. Again, dupes for Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless, different than the Hollywood Flawless filter. Not sure if I'm ready to drop the 40 to 60 for that yet. You know, I have a few more foundations that I want to experiment with. I also picked up at Target these Glow Paradise lip and cheek tints, which I love. I love color unity on the face. I love a freckle that's the same color as the eyeliner. I love a contour that repeats along the jaw and repeats along the hairline, because it just gives visual unity, so it's not just all different shades of things. You know, I do watch with interest people who contour their whole face with bronzer, right? No, I don't even think they use any other like liquid or stick foundation to contour. I think it's just straight bronzer. Straight bronzer on the nose, straight bronzer on the cheek. And it looks fine until you see people in daylight with streaks of orange on their face, and it just doesn't look, it doesn't look intentional. Let's not even talk about seamless. You want your look to look intentional, right? The way I built this lip, the liner, the lipstick, the gloss, intentional. I meant it to be like this. I think it's super cute. My freckle placement, intentional. Now, the eyeshadow was an experiment, but it turned out good, I think. I would not be mad. I am watching people on TikTok put the eyeshadow all down here under the eye. Pride Month is coming. Maybe for that, but I'm not sure I understand eyeshadow down here. I'm a little square. I'm the person who doesn't make the end of her nose blushy and red or pink. I just think it looks, you look drunk. But, you know, maybe I'll get there one day. What else can I tell you? Yeah, Brandy Melville. I don't know how to feel about it. I think it is cute, but one size, and this is a tiny size at that. It did bring all the boys a knocking out on my TikTok live, so maybe that's a plus. Only boys though. I got a few more followers out of that, and I don't think that TikTok records the live, which is different than going live on YouTube, because your live will live here unless you remove it. Let's see, what else can I discuss? I did manage to ask a question, right? A lot of people seem to think that the COVID situation is ending, right? There's all this talk, Dr. Fauci, Dr. John Campbell on YouTube, they're, oh, it's pretty much, you know, over. Natural immunity, vaccine immunity, it's fine. Is it fine? You know, I can't speak to that. I will say two things. SAG-AFTRA, the Actors Union, as well as the main unions, the DGA, which is the Directors Guild, I believe the PGA, the AMPT, I forget. It's basically the Television Academy, is that what it is? The powers that be, right? As well as the Crafts Union and the Teamsters have all decided to extend our back to work agreement, right? Not right to work, back to work for 2 more months, right? Is this a wait and see situation? There was a small protest at the SAG-AFTRA office by people who feel like all of the, restrictions and testing and all of that should go away. And some of us are like, look, we like being paid extra money to take tests before our work days. We like it to be, you know, a serious protocol that will hopefully keep infection from spreading on sets, because there were sets that were just, you know, they had to shut down. They came back from vacation. It's like 50 crew members of a outer space fiction show got the new infection. And of course that set had to be shut down. We don't want things to be out of control. We want to rely on being able to go to work, be safe, show our little mugs with our makeup on camera, and go home without problems. And the fact that, you know, it's being taken seriously by the film and TV industry, I think indicates a certain frame of mind. If you have the money and the resources and the liability, you're going to make a certain set of choices, rather than being like, woo, we don't think it exists, let's just do whatever. Is it over? Can that be true? Are all of these kind of rules and protocols excessive? Are they just cautious? I heard that, you know, certain things are going on in Shanghai and Beijing. You know, Denmark just ended their vaccine mandate. UK numbers are saying a certain thing. But yeah, let's wait and see. It's the warmer months here in the States. You know, people are being casual about mask wearing in and outdoors. I still don't think it's time to just act like it's over. It doesn't seem like it's over. You know, people are suggesting, including Dr. John Campbell, that it could just be, you know, something that goes on and people get it and there's different variants and it's no big deal. Okay, maybe that's true. Let's figure out whether that's true, and then I'll be happy not to wear a mask. But can I say one thing? One good thing, and I'll make a short about this. One good thing about wearing a mask is that, this is California, right? Bright sun. We're closer to the equator than when you're in the Northeast or Northwest. It does provide a certain amount of barrier sun protection. And I think that, 2, 3 years of wearing a mask, especially outdoors, is going to have an impact not only on melanoma and skin cancer and moles, and I've had to have a few removed from, different places, and I have, freckles and different things growing on the face. I try to stay out of the sun and not be a fanatic, but I feel like masking and face coverings and all of that affords a certain level of protection from thoughtful about where you're working, how safe you are, and you want to, be intentional about all of that because, when things go left and you get sick and you have to stay home and miss like 10 to 14 days of work, then it's real, then it's serious, right? Then people would be willing to turn around and sue their employer for causing that infection at work. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, if it's going away and it's over and we're being overcautious, fine. We'll know that in a couple of months or 6 months or 2 years or I don't know what. In the meantime, I'm fine taking tests. My nostrils have never been so clean and exfoliated, and it does help us make our pension credit for the year because that's extra earnings on non-work days. But a lot of people just want to get on Facebook and scream and yell and have their way. And, what did someone call it? A diaper for your face. And that's just silly. I mean, people have been wearing masks all over the world, in surgery rooms, in the Far East because of the bird flu and all those different flus and things that go around. And you just see, it's just like that way that you didn't see people buying out soap before all this happened. Well, were they just not using soap before? That all the soap was gone? Were they just not using toilet paper before? What were they doing? This isn't the hills of Italy. Were they using corn husks or newspaper or just their bare hands? Anyway, I'm wishing you survival and good business success and beauty. And if you're working on camera, just think about these issues. Think about your union status and the status of projects you work on, whether you're being contracted and paid and treated as an employee, or whether you're taking on risk to, contribute to someone else's profit and not your own. Those are, I think, significant, important issues when you work in Hollywood, when you work on the small screens, the big screens, all the screens. Be informed, be considerate of your look and your lighting, but most of all, just be camera ready. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for stopping by.